The name J. Robert Oppenheimer often stands in the limelight, hailed as the father of this formidable weapon when recounting the story of the atomic bomb. However, less often do we hear about another mastermind, Werner Heisenberg, whose pioneering work in quantum physics laid much of the groundwork for Oppenheimer's success. The architect of the uncertainty principle and a Nobel laureate, Heisenberg revolutionized our understanding of the atomic world, inspiring generations of scientists, including Oppenheimer himself. As the havocs of World War II persisted, Heisenberg chose to stay in his native Germany, driven by a deep love for his homeland, even under the oppressive shadow of the Nazi regime. His patriotic sentiments led him on a daunting mission that could potentially tip the scales of the war, the creation of a nuclear bomb. Yet, while Oppenheimer emerged victorious, creating the first atomic bomb, Heisenberg did not achieve the same feat. But the question remains, why did Heisenberg, the master of his field and even an inspiration to Oppenheimer, fail to make a bomb? This intriguing question paints the paradoxical picture of scientific achievement and failure, where one man's theories became another's triumph. One of the critical factors that played a vital role in Werner Heisenberg's failure to create a nuclear bomb was the lack of economic support from the Nazi regime. During World War II, Nazi Germany was under severe pressure both economically and militarily. As per records from the time, even though Heisenberg's atomic project had received support, it was far less compared to the nearly $2 billion that the United States allocated for the Manhattan Project. On the other hand, the German nuclear program's funding was only a small portion of what the US had invested. The shortage of essential materials, specifically uranium and heavy water needed for nuclear fission, further complicated Heisenberg's task. Despite Germany having seized about 1,200 tons of uranium from Belgium in 1944, it was not enough. The process of extracting uranium is a complex, expensive, and time-consuming process. To make matters worse, the Allied bombing campaign disrupted supply lines and further strained the already limited resources. Infrastructure was another area where Heisenberg's team faced significant challenges. The requisite facilities for large-scale nuclear experiments were just not available. For example, the US had constructed a mile-long factory at Oak Ridge, Tennessee for uranium enrichment, while, on the other hand, Heisenberg had to make do with small, makeshift laboratories scattered across the country. The testimonies from the time offer insight into the struggles faced by Heisenberg's team. Heisenberg himself has been quoted as saying, "We knew that it could be done theoretically, but we had neither the time nor the means to carry it out." Another scientist on his team, Carl Friedrich von Weizsäcker, confirmed, "We did not have the moral courage to set about making a bomb under the conditions of war." Thus, this crucial factor hindered his ability to turn theoretical knowledge into a tangible, destructive weapon. Heisenberg's project was plagued by persistent technological limitations and accidents. In the 1940s, Germany's technology was considerably behind that of the United States. It was a time when the computer age was still in its infancy, and many of the precise calculations required for building a bomb had to be done manually, a difficult task considering the complexity of nuclear physics. Heisenberg himself acknowledged this issue, stating, "Our mathematical methods were inadequate for handling such a complex problem." Accidents also played a substantial role in hampering progress. One notable incident which adversely affected Heisenberg's project was the catastrophic laboratory accident that took place in 1942. The incident, often referred to as the Leipzig disaster, occurred in the German city of Leipzig, which housed one of the key laboratories dedicated to the atomic bomb project. The catastrophe began as a routine experiment that aimed to control a uranium chain reaction. Unfortunately, the experiment quickly escalated out of control due to a miscalculation. A surge of neutron radiation led to a violent explosion, which not only decimated the laboratory, but also resulted in severe casualties among the team of scientists and engineers working on the project. In the aftermath of the explosion, the German authorities, already skeptical about the feasibility of the atomic bomb, diverted much-needed resources away from the project to the war front. Another significant blow was the accidental sinking of a German ferry, the SF Hydro, in Norway in 1944. The ferry was transporting a significant quantity of heavy water, a key component in the nuclear fission process, which was lost in the incident. This was a severe setback for Heisenberg's team, already struggling with resource scarcity. Believe it or not, Hitler's discriminatory views against Jews and his notorious skepticism towards modern science were key factors in Germany's failure in creating a nuclear weapon. Despite his embrace of advanced military technology, Hitler maintained a distrust of the scientific community, partly due to his ideological beliefs. As a leader who was more inclined towards the arts and mysticism, Hitler viewed the abstract and theoretical world of quantum physics with suspicion. This distrust stemmed largely from his ideological prejudices, particularly his anti-Semitic views. The world of quantum physics was a realm he approached with suspicion, not least because many of its leading figures, including Einstein and Fermi, were Jewish or held anti-Nazi sentiments. The Nazi leader's bias against Jewish scientists profoundly influenced his perspective towards science as a whole. He saw it as a discipline tarnished by those he considered to be enemies of his ideological vision. Heisenberg, though neither Jewish nor politically against Hitler, was caught in this wave of distrust. The Führer was hesitant to invest heavily in a project whose principles he didn't fully comprehend and whose success was uncertain. Historical records suggest that during a meeting in 1942, Heisenberg presented the prospects of an atomic bomb to military officials. However, without the backing of Hitler's faith and financial support, these discussions fell on deaf ears. Hitler's biases also led him to favor more tangible and immediate forms of warfare, like V-2 rockets. The program promised a new form of artillery that could deliver destructive payloads over vast distances, a notion that was easily grasped and highly appealing to the Führer. This translated into a serious imbalance in resource distribution, with initiatives like the V-2 program receiving a lion's share of the available materials, manpower, and funding, which severely hampered the project's progress. Thus, despite his scientific prowess, Heisenberg was unable to surmount the hurdle of Hitler's skepticism, significantly contributing to his inability to deliver an atomic bomb. The beginning of the 1940s saw Germany deprived of some of its brightest scientific minds, another factor which heavily impacted Heisenberg's bomb project. The rise of Hitler and his genocidal policies had forced many top-notch scientists to flee the country, leaving a significant void in the scientific community. This was a serious setback for Heisenberg's mission, which required a robust team of competent and innovative scientists. Meanwhile, it helped the United States a lot, as many of these scientists ended up working on the Manhattan Project, helping them create the atomic bomb. Among those who left were world-renowned physicists like Albert Einstein, Leo Szilard, and Edward Teller. Their departure robbed Germany of key talents that could have otherwise contributed to the Heisenberg project. Edward Teller, who left Germany, later helped the US create the even more powerful hydrogen bomb, showing how valuable he could have been to Heisenberg's team. This brain drain was quite significant in scale. As per estimates, nearly half of Germany's theoretical physicists had left the country by the late 1930s. The remaining scientific community was further strained as many were drafted into military service, leaving fewer scientists to contribute to research efforts. Hence, despite his best efforts, Heisenberg found himself fighting an uphill battle without the intellectual strength that had been stripped away from him by the circumstances of the time. In the race to atomic power, it wasn't just resources or expertise that tipped the scale, but a confluence of circumstances. While Oppenheimer thrived amidst America's united front, Heisenberg found himself undermined by the very regime he worked under. This tale of two scientists paint a powerful picture of how factors beyond one's intellect and dedication can steer the course of history.
If you enjoyed this video, please support us by hitting the like button. Stay updated with our latest videos by subscribing to our channel.